Rockford police investigate a morning murder. A 34-year-old woman's found dead in a car on Kishwaukee Street.
Plus, a merger between two healthcare systems, the details of MercyHealth's acquisition of FHN.
And hundreds of third graders head outdoors for today's class. The lesson, learning how to care for our natural environment.
Live from WTVO 17. This is Eyewitness News at 5.
Good evening, I'm Mimi Murphy.
And I'm Wendell Edwards. We thank you for being here. Tonight at 5, Rockford police are searching for a suspected killer after a woman was found dead this morning.
Police say she was found on Kishwaukee Street shortly after 6 a.m. Officers arrived on scene to find the 34-year-old victim shot to death in her car. No arrests have been announced, but police say they are actively investigating. The DeKalb County Sheriff's Office is investigating after two people were found dead in a home on Oakland Drive in Sycamore. Deputies were called there for a welfare check shortly after 8:30. After discovering the bodies, nearby schools were placed on lockdown. Investigators say a vehicle was missing from the house. It was later pulled over in Rockford and the driver detained. No charges have been announced and the victims have not been identified.
After 6 years, a Rockford man admitting to a killing. Javari Connolly pleaded guilty to first-degree murder just yesterday. Jaime Gonzalez was shot and killed at the Great Oaks apartment complex on Linden Road. The 19-year-old was found in the parking lot and later died at the hospital. This was in 2019. Connolly was arrested 2 months later. Since then, the now 30-year-old had refused to appear at court hearings, delaying his trial. Connolly is now set to be sentenced on October 30th.
Two state-line healthcare systems announce a merger. FHN in Freeport's being acquired by MercyHealth. Mercy's agreed to invest $100 million in FHN over the next 5 years. Both companies say the merger will help increase healthcare opportunities for residents in rural areas. FHN cited financial circumstances as reason for the merger. They hope this will provide more access to funding for major projects.
We certainly are going to have greater access to specialists. We're going to be able to get access to deeper financial resources. Again, more advanced technology. MercyHealth is going to help us buy a new linear accelerator. We just celebrated 30 years at our cancer center. This will help keep that cancer center at state-of-the-art technology. Significant investment. We'll be looking at a new Da Vinci surgical robot that will be brought to this area, which we are not currently offering.
The transaction still needs to be approved by the state. It is expected to go through by the end of the year. Just last week, FHN pulled out from an agreement with Beloit Health System that would have allocated 10 hospital beds from Freeport to the North Point Neighborhood Hospital. Beloit Health System responded to today's announcement, saying Mercy's acquisition seems to prioritize limiting access rather than expanding or enhancing care.
After many delays and budget constraints, construction started today at Davis Park. The park is now closed to the public. Workers will be making improvements to the seawall and riverwalk, as well as the multi-use paths. They're also set to build a new skate park, concessions, and restrooms. Construction is set to be completed in 2 phases. The first is set to be done by next spring, before the Ironman race. Traffic control and detours are in place around Davis Park and on the walking path. Now, you may recall original construction was supposed to start last year, but was paused after estimates came in over budget.
A high school program in Rockford is giving refugee students hands-on health and wellness education. Nearly 40 students, part of East High School's newcomer program, were at Peak Fitness today. They took part in exercises led by RPS teachers. The program is for high schoolers new to the U.S. who aren't equipped for standard classes. Many of the students come from refugee camps across the world. Educators say teaching these students is about more than what's in a textbook.
Our focus as a teacher is graduation. My focus as a newcomer teacher is belonging and relationships. So even though they're from all these different countries, we have to be family. If we're not family, we aren't going to learn as well. You have to be able to try to speak in front of people without them laughing at you. You have to take risks when you're learning English.
Among the countries students are from include Afghanistan, Syria, and Ukraine.
More than 300 state line students got the chance to explore nature today. It was the Keepers of the Land field trip held at Oakdale Forest Preserve in Freeport. Third graders from multiple schools in Stevenson County got the chance to participate in activities and learn more about caring for the environment. Apparently that included worms. The event was coordinated by the County Farm Bureau, Soil and Water Conservation District, and U of I Extension. Organizers say it's important for kids to understand how important conservation really is.
All of us enjoy nature, but if we don't take care of it, it isn't going to be here. So it's kind of helping them to understand their place in the natural setting and that they're a big part of it. So the choices that they make affect what's going to happen in the future.
The Keepers of the Land field trip has been offered for about 20 years now. Coming up, lawmakers have mere hours to avoid a government shutdown.
When we come back, we'll hear from 2 U.S. representatives from Illinois about the negotiations in D.C.
And coming up tonight at 6, students, staff, and family members are invited to share feedback, the community listening session to find RPS's next district leader.
Our 80-degree stretch weather continues another day, made it up to 86 this afternoon after dropping down to 54. We'll continue with that 80-degree trend through the end of the week and even warming further for the weekend. A look at how long this warmth could stick around in the forecast a little later.
You're watching Eyewitness News, your home team, with Mimi Murphy, Wendell Edwards, Sports Director Scott Leber, and Chief Meteorologist Candace King.
We are just hours away from a potential government shutdown if lawmakers don't pass a budget or continuing resolution before midnight.
Democrats say cuts to Medicaid need to be reversed.
We must lower the high costs that families pay for their health care by shutting down the government. The Republicans, which control the House, which control the Senate and the White House, are more interested in screwing the American people because of a stubbornness than working hard to find solutions.
But congressional Republicans are saying the debate on those cuts can wait until the government is funded.
Don't try to take hostages here because you want this, and these other things. Particularly, they want health care funding for illegal immigrants. They want the Obamacare tax credits to continue. That's fine. Let's have a conversation on that, but don't shut down the government.
Lawmakers have until midnight Eastern Time, which is 11 p.m. our time, to get a deal passed to avoid a government shutdown.
Today, a group of Illinois Republicans are addressing what they describe as a rising threat of violence against federal immigration officers.
ICE operations have always been and will continue to be about protecting families and enforcing the law. Passionate debate should never become a spark for harm. That is why the House Republican Caucus has been diligent in putting forth legislative solutions. Let's have a conversation, reasonable dialogue that paves a pathway forward on robust debate and truth.
This comes following comments made yesterday by Governor Pritzker and other Illinois Democrats criticizing the presence of ICE in Illinois. State Republicans today say they believe it's the federal government's job to address illegal immigration in the U.S.
A group of Rockford area lawmakers have given their endorsement to a U.S. Senate campaign. Eyewitness News is your local election headquarters. 3 Rockford alderpersons have announced their support of U.S. Representative Raja Krishnamurthy in his run for U.S. Senate. The Democrat is campaigning for the soon-to-be open seat currently held by Senator Dick Durbin. Rockford Alderman Jaime Salgado, Jonathan Logeman, and Karen Hoffman all gave their endorsements today, as did Winnebago County Auditor Bill Crowley, supporting Krishnamurthy's campaign. Other top Democrats running for that same soon-to-be open Senate seat include Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton and U.S. Representative Robin Kelly. It was another warm day in the 80s today.
When we come back, Candace lets us know if we can expect more hot days as we move into October. Her full forecast is coming up next.
Now, your first warned weather forecast from Chief Meteorologist Candace King.
Well, beautiful picture coming in on our SkyTrack camera here in Beloit, looking off to the north and northwest. We've got some higher level clouds thanks to a little more moisture streaming in from the Gulf of Mexico, actually out to the west, allowing some of that cloud cover to move in. We've had a breezy northerly wind this afternoon, kind of shifting around to the east, a little further to our east, bringing temperatures out in Harvard and Woodstock down into the 70s, 81 in Poplar Grove, and we're 83 right now in Rockford, 82 for our weather watcher Terry down in Genoa. That dew point temperature sits in the low 60s, and he's got a light easterly wind, no precipitation. Kevin, our weather watcher out in Lena this last hour, 82, a northeast wind, and that dew point sitting at 63. So a sign that there is just a little more moisture, but it does not lead to any rainfall here over the course of the next couple of days. We can actually see that cloud cover moving in. There's a weak area of low pressure kind of helping to tug that moisture up to the north over East Texas. And we can see that here on water vapor, which shows us where we've got the moisture and where we've got the dry air. So moving right up the middle of the country. But again, it's just really cloud cover that we're dealing with for tonight. And that'll kind of thicken up through the overnight tonight as temperatures stay in the mid 50s. There may be some patchy fog, but with a less clear sky tonight, probably won't be quite as dense as what some of you woke up to here early this morning. 81 for tomorrow with a little more filtered sunshine heading into the afternoon, and we can see those clouds on the increase. Again, these are higher level clouds, so it's not really thick low level cloud cover, but it will be enough to kind of obscure some of that sunshine throughout the day for Wednesday and Wednesday night. But then by the time we get into Thursday, same thing for Friday, that wind will turn back around to the southwest. You can kind of tell too with the direction that the clouds will be moving in and that southwest shift. Now that does pull in a little more moisture for Friday, which will probably keep our skies partly cloudy, but with the low levels fairly dry, I don't think we see much in the way of any sort of precipitation with that, just some cloud cover and a gusty wind. Now we are going to stay pretty dry straight through the weekend, perhaps getting into early next week. We might start to see a cold front come through, or we will see a cold front come through. There's a little moisture that comes in along that, and that could give us a couple of showers, but notice it really doesn't look like it is going to be much. In fact, that chance for any meaningful precipitation stays on the lower side of things with our outlook that takes us through that first week to week and a half of October, really not holding out much hope for much precipitation, but showing a higher probability for above average temperatures. Now, does that mean that those 80-degree numbers are going to stick around? No, because our average high in October drops down into the 60s, but still looking at some warmth and some dry conditions too, unfortunately. So 81 for tomorrow. We're in the upper 80s Friday, Saturday, guys. I will say the wind picks up heading into the weekend, and that could elevate the fire risk.
Thank you, Candace.
Scott's next with sports.
Cubs fans ecstatic over how the Cubs performed today under playoff pressure. Scott has the highlights next.
Now sports with sports director Scott Leber.
For many of the Cubs, the playoffs are a new experience. So far, they have passed their first test. They took the field and took game one of their wild card series when the Padres this afternoon at Wrigley. Cubs were scoreless going into the fifth, trailing 2-1, and that's when red-hot Seiya Suzuki homered in his fifth straight game. It was a solo shot off Nick Pivetta. The game was tied up at 1. The next batter, the very next guy, Carson Kelly. He piggybacked off the Suzuki momentum by hammering another one out of the yard. The Wrigley Field crowd going wild. The Cubs had the lead at 2-1 on back-to-back jacks. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning, and it was insurance time. And Nico Horner provided that insurance. Horner had 2 hits in the game. This was not one of them, but it was a sacrifice fly, scoring Dansby Swanson. 4 Cubs relievers pitched shutout Bull in relief of Matthew Boyd, and the Cubs defeated the Padres 3-1. Game 2 going to be tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock. We'll also have that game here on WTVO. Dylan Cease will be the Padres starting pitcher. The Cubs have not announced their starter. If the Cubs win, they advance to face the Brewers in the division series. Well, the Red Sox and Yankees, they're just underway in New York, and later this evening the Reds will face the Dodgers in Los Angeles. Those games are on ESPN. Only the Cubs-Padres series is on WTVO. That's sports. We'll be right back.
The largest college fair in the Rockford area is set for tomorrow.
Rock Valley College is hosting the Illinois Regional College Fair. Over 100 colleges and universities will be in attendance, ranging from Rockford University to Arizona State University. Local high schoolers and their families are encouraged to attend and ask any questions.
I would say never be embarrassed with the question that you have, because I can promise that you're not the only student with that question, and that the representative of that school has definitely had that question asked before. And even if you are nervous, just taking a handout and sending an email that night or the next day will still allow you to get the information needed, and still taking advantage of that opportunity.
Tomorrow's fair will be from 6 to 8 p.m. at RVC's Physical Education Center.
I'm just throwing pins over here, so never mind me. How's the weather?
Well, we've got a lot of warmth sticking around. Average highs as we get into October should be in the 60s and dropping. In fact, we see a pretty large drop in those temperatures from the beginning to end of the month. Not going to be the case. We're going to warm things up for the weekend, and our interactive radar stays dry until at the earliest, I think, locally early next week. 55 for tonight. We've got a little more cloud cover tomorrow. 81 going into the afternoon, back up to 85 on Thursday. Upper 80s Friday, Saturday. Gets windy too, and those dry conditions could create an elevated fire risk through the weekend.
Thank you, Candace.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you at 6.